Hello, BookTube. A few of my more geriatric subscribers have been complaining that my videos have been going up very late. It's absolutely true. They've been going up very, very late. Uh, and I don't want to put any of you off your Metamucil, so I thought I'd do a video about the first mail haul of the day. So this can go up while the sun is high up in the air here in Boston. And if I get more time and more things to do, then I'll make more videos as the day goes on. We've got 4 packages here, and the first one's pretty. It's pretty. So I'm assuming this is YA of some kind. They're the only ones that ever go the extra mile for the shiny packages. Let's see. It'd be kind of rare because I don't usually get YA. Oh no, okay. No, this isn't YA at all. This is book 1 of a series called Babylon Berlin by Volker Kuscher. It's book 1 in the Jerry on Wrath mystery series, which I guess is now a major television miniseries. Huh. Okay, this comes out in late January, and I think if I remember correctly, this is yet another series set in Germany dominated by the Nazis. Let's see here. Maybe I'm wrong about that. First book in an internationally best-selling series that centers on Detective Jerry on Wrath caught up in a web of drugs, sex, political intrigue, and murder in Berlin as Germany teeters on the edge of Nazism. Okay, it's 1929. And Berlin is a vibrating metropolis of the post-war Germany, full of bars and brothels and dissatisfied workers at the point of revolt. Our main character is in town and new to the police department. When a dead man without an identity bearing traces of atrocious torture is discovered, Wrath sees a chance to find his way back into the homicide division. He discovers a connection with a circle of oppositional exiled Russians who try to purchase arms with smuggled gold in order to prepare a coup d'etat. Oppositional. Okay, all right, well, great, okay. So a nice historical murder mystery. Very nice. Okay, this comes out in late January, so I get that gives me all the justification I need, as if I ever needed much, to read it tonight. That's wonderful. So let's move on. What's our next goodie here? Oh, fantastic! All right, this is a double. Great. This comes out in late February from Harvard University Press. It's Catherine Lomas, The Rise of Rome. The subtitle is From the Iron Age to the Punic Wars. So oft-covered ground. It will all depend on the author. But yeah, by the 3rd century BC, the once modest settlement of Rome had conquered most of Italy and was poised to build an empire throughout the Mediterranean basin. What transformed a humble city into the preeminent power of the region? In The Rise of Rome, the historian and archaeologist Catherine Lomas reconstructs the diplomatic ploys, political stratagems, and cultural exchanges whereby Rome established itself as a dominant player in a region already brimming with competitors. Okay, great. Fantastic. So that's Roman history. That's squarely in my wheelhouse. I'm entirely up for that. Let's see here. Not sure. I've read, of course, a lot of books on the rise of Rome and the whys and the wherefores and what that exact question: how a little village in the middle of nowhere ended up as a major Mediterranean power and then a major world power. And I don't often see the emphases laid where they obviously should be. I often see historians sort of, I don't know, echoing each other, talking to each other, instead of taking a big step back and looking at this thing. We'll see. We'll see what kind of a job she does with it. I'll be very interested to know, for instance, what emphasis she puts on slavery. We'll see. We'll see. I will report back. Oh my. Oh, wow. Okay. This is something that you will have seen already on BookTube, but not on my channel. You saw this on Britta's channel. This is out already. It is a paperback. Yes, it's a paperback original. And it's Alexis Wright, The Swan Book. And if you'll notice, you'll see that even though this is a very eye-catching cover, it is not as good as the very similar cover of the UK edition that Britta held up. Hers was black and blue and horizontal. Mine is brown and beige and vertical. So, and I don't know why. Why wouldn't her cover be available for Americans to use? Anyway, let's see here. So Olivia Etheline is hiding from her abusers in the depths of a gum tree when she is rescued by an old woman who herself is a refugee from the devastation of the climate change wars. Her savior, Belladonna of the Champions, takes Oblivia to live with her on an old warship in a polluted, dry swamp. Fenced off from the rest of Australia by the army, the dry swamp becomes the setting for a revolutionary invasion that brings with it the promise of salvation. But for Oblivia, it seems likely to be yet another trap from which she must escape. And this is from the author of Capitaria, that was fairly well received and fairly widely reviewed. Okay. Okay, great. Well, on first blush, knowing nothing more about it than what I just read, it strikes me as as Margaret Atwood style science fiction. In other words, bad science fiction that's being done ham-handedly in order to make social points by moving a couple of pieces around on a board instead of world building. And the fact that that the character's name is Oblivia and her savior's name is Belladonna was the first thing that tipped me off to that. But we'll see. Climate change wars sounds. Well, I'll give it a try. I will report back. And then here's this next one here. No sense making trouble where there isn't any. It could be a wonderful book. So, oh my, oh goodness gracious. Okay. This comes out in May, and it is by Philip Dray, and it is, oh my, it's called The Fair Chase, the epic story of hunting in America. And there you have two of my babies on the cover, showing how the sport shaped our national identity. From Daniel Boone to Teddy Roosevelt, hunting is one of America's most sacred but also most fraught traditions. It was promoted in the 19th century as a way to reconnect soft urban Americans with nature and to the legacy of the country's pathfinding heroes. Fair Chase, a hunting code of ethics emphasizing fairness. The animals have guns, do they? Rugged independence. You hunt without clothes, do you? And restraint towards wildlife. Okay. All right. So you can bake bread. You go out and kill people anyway. Emerged as a worldview and gave birth to the conservation movement. But the sport's popularity also caused class, ethnic, and racial divisions and stirred debate about the treatment of Native Americans and the role of hunting in preparing young men for war. Not a word about the hunted. Not a word about them. No. It's stirred debate about the treatment of Native Americans and the role of hunting in preparing young men for war. And somewhere way in the back, you hear the passenger pigeon say, excuse me. This sweeping and balanced book, it will not be balanced. It will not be balanced. There won't be more than two. I can tell from the description, there won't be more than two sentences in here that questions hunting. Full stop. Instead, it'll be hunting in context of, and then it'll bloviate on. But the idea that hunting itself is wrong, it of course is. You're going out to murder people. People who have every bit as much affection for their young, every bit as much amusement on an idle afternoon, every bit as much of a sense of humor, every bit as much of a language, every bit as much empathy and sympathy, every bit as much of the ability to wake up in a bad mood. You're going out and killing them because you feel like it, or because you want to cut off their head, stuff it, and mount it on your wall, or because you want to eat them when you can grow whole fields of fruit and vegetables, when you can cultivate wine. without killing anyone. The book will not say, this just shouldn't be done. This is obviously on its face barbaric. Instead, it'll say, here's the context and that bull crap about it giving rise to the conservation movement. Oh my God. I have known so many hunters in my life, especially in Montana, and they always go straight to that. And it's just pure indoctrination. If you ever meet a hunter or a rancher or anything like that, and they tell you that they're actually helping animals by blowing their heads off or leaving wire traps for them, just back away slowly because they're heavily armed. It is essential reading for anyone interested in the evolution of our nation's foundational myths. Okay, but it's not a myth. It's not a myth that there are no wolves in the lower 48 anymore. And the way there are no more wolves in the lower 48 anymore is a horror story that would curdle the blood of any sensible person. The way they were killed, they weren't just shot. They were horribly, horribly, horribly mutilated out of a sheer bloodlust, the kind of mindless bloodlust that humans experience alone. Of all animals on earth, wolves, who have a reputation for fierceness, never experience it. Never. So you wound a wolf, and then when it's helpless, you strap it down and sew all of its orifices shut, and then fill it with water, just to watch it burst like a tick. Or the near extermination of beavers in the lower 48. Hunted, clubbed, killed even when the bounty hunters were told, we're temporarily closing this outpost. There aren't any bounties anymore. Beaver meat is virtually inedible. There's no reason for you to go out and kill these things anymore. No reason at all, and people did. In fact, the numbers increased. Whole animals exterminated. Whole kinds of animals exterminated. It's not a foundational myth. It's deep, deep disgrace. I'm already yelling at this guy. Who I should probably find out who he is. He has written or co-authored 7 books on American history, including At the Hands of Persons Unknown, which won the Robert F. Kennedy Book Prize and the Southern Book Critics Circle Award, and was a finalist for the Pulitzer Prize. He lives in Brooklyn. Okay. All right. Fair Chase, a hunting code of ethics emphasizing fairness. There's nothing fair about hunting at all, obviously. If you want to hunt a mountain lion and you want to be fair about it, well, you take off your clothes, you leave your weapons at home, and you go out. And that's fair. If not, then, if you had a stout walking stick and you were in a low valley and you were attacked on 5 sides by 5 different mountain lions, your instincts would say, well, that's not fair. And that doesn't even touch on what hunting is like today, where you bring a rifle with you onto the plains or into the woods that has the killing power of a cannon from the Civil War. The animal doesn't have any kind of chance at all unless you do everything wrong, or unless they catch you completely by surprise. Well, that's not a fair chance. That's or in Russia, where hunters will take dogs and hand cannons out into the snowy woods and pry open the dens of hibernating bears and just jab inside them to get the animal that's effectively in a coma to wake up and come out groggy and savage, and then you kill them, laughing. And it's not because you need to. You're not eating the bear. Anyway, let me stop before I go on for an hour. But if you're going to leave a comment, if you're in Russia or you're in the American West and you feel like leaving a comment saying, hey, I hunt and I'm a gigantic conservationist, kindly don't. These are my friends that you're butchering for fun. Kindly don't. But anyway, I don't think anybody will be. So there's The Fair Chase, which, believe it or not, I will give a fair read to. Just not anytime soon. Then The Swan Book by Alexis Wright, in its ugly American version. Then The Rise of Rome, Roman History. And then Babylon Berlin, which I'm going to dig into tonight. It sounds fascinating. Hopefully the author doesn't drop the ball. Anyway, I'm going to wrap up now, and I will come back hopefully before sunset. Thank you, Book 2.